From a workshop in Bordeaux to Ultimate Fields worldwide, Force Ultimate creates custom gear with care. Locally made, low impact, built to perform. No outsourcing, no shortcuts, every piece crafted in-house by skilled artisans. Built to withstand every dive and sprint, this gear is as tough as your game. Your sport, your team, your Force. Why choose Force? Exceptional quality, eco-friendly production, and every kit is designed with your team's identity in mind. Force Ultimate, built to perform, made to last. Gear up now at forceultimate.com.
Welcome back to the European Youth Ultimate Championships 2025 here from Trnava, Slovakia, and it is semi-final Friday, folks, and we've already had a fantastic start today. We've got a double-header, the second time we're seeing these two nations go against each other. We just saw a fantastic mixed semi, Italy versus France. We're now back in the open division, so shout out to everyone in Italy and France who've tuned in for the double-header here. Liam Grant alongside Benji Reese for the call, and just fantastic scenes, beautiful day here in Slovakia. Couldn't have asked for more. We're so excited for this game, Benji.
It's a good job we're well rested, because otherwise I think I would have burnt out by this point. That last semi-final was so intense, and it promises to be another barnstormer here. Have a look at the bracket. France and Belgium top the two pools, so they got the byes into the semi-finals. Italy overcame Czechia 15-11 in the quarterfinal yesterday. We streamed that game. On the other side of the bracket, Germany polished off GB 15-10, and they take on Germany in the other semi-final, which is live at the same time, because every game at this tournament is available to be live streamed.
I think many people would have picked this to be the final, Benji. The bookies' odds to have Italy and France, but kind of Belgium getting the upset there. So France, you probably favourites looking at their performance at the World Juniors last year, made it to the final. I thought played really well against the USA, and a lot of those players returning here, so a really strong France side. You can see they powered through the groups. 14-12 against Switzerland. Switzerland didn't even make the bracket. You know, it was a strong open division.
Yeah, 15-12 against Czechia and 15-9 against the Germans. Italy, they took that one loss, the universe point defeat to Belgium in the initial pool, but otherwise it was plain sailing for them. Weren't really pushed to that closely by anyone else. And then in the crossover, the quarterfinal against the Czechs, 15-11 the final score. See the spirit of the game score there as well, a tick below 10. The French on the positive side in the spirit scores, assuming that we take 10 as a baseline. I must say, I think we probably have French as slight favourites, but if I might dig into my big book of cliches, whenever these two sides meet, you can throw the form book out the window, because they've played each other so often down the years throughout the various age divisions, and I think they do get themselves a little bit more involved and engaged when they see each other on the opposing end zone line.
Many of this Italian side have had huge experience. Look at the likes of Alberto Laffi, who just played at the U24 championships as one of the standouts on that team, and he's here at the junior level. And two really prized youth development nations in France and Italy just seem to be churning out top player after top player. It's really fantastic to see, and a credit to the development in both countries. It will be Alain Leblanc as France wearing white today, standing on defense, going upwind. Italy wearing their classic blue azzurri here in the hot sun in Slovakia. I'm so excited for this game, Benji.
Honestly, it's partly the fact that we've come off that bonkers mixed semi-final, but I am almost vibrating here on the sidelines. I cannot wait, and we are underway.
The Italians on offense. Let's see what they can do. Vandelli in possession now. We hear a hoo-ha from the sideline from France, and they're kind of coming out of passive zone here, three up the top and allowing the swing, but trying to disrupt any pull plays or downfield motion. The Italians happy to take what's in front of them. Pivi has been playing fantastic in the number 9 shirt for Italy. And France doing well here just to slow them down.
Yeah, it's the first time I've actually had a chance to see either of these two sides in person, but you know already what impressive units they are.
Gavetti And here to transition to a match defense from the French. Again, just slowing the Italians down, not stopping them. A little contact there, and Nicolo Pivi, the 17-year-old, not happy with the contact and just kind of wants to make a marker earlier on in the game and say, hey, I don't want that.
Ilian Mendley is a player who is more than capable of a big play, both defensively and when his side have got the disc on the turn.
Beautiful break around to Laffi. We'll probably see him playing offense and defense. Oh, Totti takes his eye off the disc, and he had a sensational pre-semi or quarterfinal, whatever you want to call it. I think he scored 5, maybe even 6 goals in that game, and it was incredible, but fluffs one there, and the first break opportunity of the game quickly wasted by the French.
A let-off really for Totti because he did not have his balance set at all, you could tell, as he was making the catch and then going the other way. They've got a lot of deep targets downfield. We know that they love to air it out, but Gibert that time struggling to find his range.
I think that's the captain crossing over here on the first point, and I think he's going to be the O-line handler. That's my guess anyway. And he's probably the best thrower in the team, and he just ends up throwing it away straight away. A massive break opportunity. I think he'll be regretting that later on in this game. There won't be too many of those opportunities. And Totti holds on to it this time.
French transitioning from their zone setup into a one-on-one matchup defense.
Oh, and teasing one out into space. Can Totti take this one down? No. That throw was a vital weapon for them yesterday. That IO backhand leading around the defender. And it got around the defender, but drifts out of bounds, Benj.
That's the throw that they love, those leading backhands into space from handlers slashing downfield, but too much edge, tails out of bounds. That one's not on Totti. Now the deep shot.
This one's going up to Bashad. He's such a menace in the air, but it must be Bindig is sweeping up the trash for the French's Bardon, and he gets the break to start things off for the French.
Bardin collects la poubelle. I think the reason that happens is because it's not a one-on-one matchup in that deep space. If it were, it would have been Italy disc because the initial receiver got too far underneath it. The defender did a good job of pushing them there, but there were 3 French players in the area against just the 1 Italian, and that means that if you are not bringing the disc down yourself, there's always the chance, as you mentioned, that it will be swept up in behind, as it was there by Simeon Bardin for the score. Look at it again on the replay. The deep game is going to be a very fruitful endeavour for the French if they come out on top in this contest. And was Bardin the initial target? No. Did it matter? Also no.
They were looking for Bashad going deep. I think that was a power line from France. Looking at some of the players on the line, deciding to stack the line first point and look for that break opportunity, and it's worked, Benj.
And if you think that the name Heshar is a little bit familiar, of course, Quentin, the older of the two, was part of that silver medal side last year in Birmingham at WJUC and part of the U24 side that captured bronze in Logroño just a few weeks ago.
So great start for the French. Pressure already on the Italian side. They'd love to get that break back before half, but again, that leading backhand working on this occasion. Peavy. Very similar defense here from France.
Yeah, it's a little more containing on the handlers while they stick tighter downfield.
Some face guarding on this occasion, but good movement again. Heinz stall count. Vandelli sits into that forehand. They're gesticulating deep, but keeping it safe. Peavy. Very flat force from the French, but the Italians so good of manipulating the mark there.
Yeah, they've got all the break throws available. They're very good. They don't just pivot side to side. They've got the full 360, so they can go a little bit backwards or forwards to create those angles they need. Discussion here about a push-off between Mandano and Vandelli.
PV isolating Vandelli in the middle. No question of a push-off that time. Want someone to attack the corner. This time, I think it is PV. This one's going to hang up. And redemption this time. I believe that's Laffy, not the intended receiver. This is at like a Wild West shootout here, Benj.
Both sides showing that you have to be aware, you have to be willing, because you never know when things might break your way. It happened with the French on the deep shot on the opening point. Now with the Italians, it's tipped under pressure. And Alberto Laffy is able to clean up at the back of the end zone. Off the stoppage there, Italy looked like they were running what I would be used to calling an old-school German offense, as you see the tip there end up in the hands of Alberto Laffy. And I think when teams talk about German, it's an old-school isolation play. So you've got 3 or 4 players back in the handler space, 1 player allowed to clown around in the center, and then 3 players in the deep space. And the idea is that you give that player so much room to work that it's so tough to guard one-on-one. Often teams will bring another defender into the space to make it less easy, and then of course you've got someone poached at a space you can hit either in the handler set or downfield. They did that to get Vandelli in the space in the center, but then struggled to find a containing option, a continuing option with the next pass, forced it into the end zone. It was tipped, but Laffy collected the seconds.
Both teams catching strays to start this game off. I don't think having a goal scored by an intended receiver yet.
First time we're getting the French O-line out on the field and the Italian D-line as well.
Let's see who's running the show for France. Off to the races here. Some nice flow from the French. Chodex is in the axis handler position and plants and dips and dodges and gets things moving again for the French. This arcing forehand, and that is a sensational throw, a clean hold from the French. Letelier eats that one up.
Excellent work from Letelier. The French O-line looking very comfortable out there. It's a tough Italian D-line, a lot of studs out there, led by Michael Olivieri. It was again one of those players who was part of the U24 side in Logroño for the Italians. But credit to the French, who looked remarkably cool and calm and unflustered by it. And they found the score on the blade to Letelier. Have a look at it again now. On the replay, just using it well, stretching it from sideline to sideline. And they're finding that option within the handler, coming through, and the blade down the line for the score.
Those kind of forehand blades are almost undefendable at times. If it's on the money, which it was, not a lot you can do about it on defense. You're not going to get an opportunity to close down those yards. So fantastic start from the French. And today just feels a little hotter. I don't know if it's something in the air or is it actually temperature.
I think it is a little hotter. We've not really got a bit of a breeze that we've had in previous days. And yes, it's semi-finals day. It's win or go home, metaphorically, because you still have to play the bronze medal match. But you know, if you don't win, that's it. Your gold medal hopes are gone. And yes, that does tick the temperature up a few extra degrees.
Trnava, known as Little Rome, due to its high density of churches. Getting high is Alberto Laffy, his brother Arturo Laffy, one of the coaches. And this better from the Italians. Raring and tearing the way down the field. Back with Laffy again. Everyone getting involved though. A little air bounce backhand. The easy shot for a goal is there, and travel is called. Perhaps he was inside the end zone.
I think from where that left foot is, it currently is on the line / in the end zone. I actually think he probably needs to set that back a step or two, but the French happy.
Martini lofts one up to Laffy. Knocking on the doorstep now. Good scrambling defense here from France. They have their matches set up. That a nice leading pass and continuing to the break side. Laffy spikes emphatically. Brilliant clean hold from Italy. That's what we expect from this side. And you can see France face guarding on the reset, which puts pressure on, but you can often then lead someone out to the break side, and you can see what they're trying to do. Italy exploiting it though.
Against some teams, I think that will work well, but against the Italians, who want to throw that leading pass to the handler anyway, I'm not sure it's necessarily the best option, because they will hit that all day and twice on Fridays. Alberto Laffy's interesting. You can tell that his older brother is used more in the handler core, because he is much more, not necessarily effective, but much more utilised in the downfield space. They thought they broke it open early, but the travel called. And sometimes when you think you've scored and all of a sudden, it has to go back, that can really stymie your momentum. But the Italians actually were able to get things going again. And Arturo Laffy really trying to get the juices flowing.
This game living up to the hype already. Let's see what the Italians can do. I know they like to mix it up quite a lot on defense. Let's see what they have in their defensive locker. And a huge number of support staff here from the Italians. I've seen Mastroianni there, Laffy. And it's amazing to have coaches who are also playing at the highest level. It's impressive to see just how invested some of these players are in the community. But France get a nice isolation cut. That's brilliant to start things off. Woo. Oh, a vagrant pass just slipped out of his hands. Italy, chance to break back now. And again, they waste no time. Very tight forces from France. Not going to bother the Italians too much. They like to use that against them. Now with Mariani. Oh, that throw. Not sure if it was on. Foul called.
French sideliners head in hands. I'm not sure that they necessarily agree with it. Piludu is the player who's calling the contact.
Yeah, Ricardo Piludu had the inside line. So it's quite difficult for the French player to kind of come around the corner. Kind of gets his hand in the cookie jar. But did he do so cleanly is the question. He just sticks his arm in between the arms of an Italian player. Not a huge amount of contact there anyway, Benj, but again, very difficult to come at it from that angle and not get a foul. I think he did an incredible job of trying to avoid contact. Whether he did so or not, I'm not sure.
I think the defender's the number 26, Timothée Barrio Sanier.
Not sure if we'll get another look at that one. We've one of the French coaches coming to have a look at the VAR video replay, which you're allowed to do in the rules.
Yep, players on the field have decided that, you know what, let's agree to disagree. We've talked about it long enough. We'll contest it and send it back.
It is tight. It is tight.
I don't think it's a terrible result necessarily.
No, I don't. I think it's clear and obvious what the resolution should be in that situation. And particularly at the juniors level, you want to see minimal contact. So Italy fighting their way back into this game. High in the stall count now. Goes with a scuba. That at stall 9 3/4, I think. But retaining possession. Working hard is Mariani. Shot to the end zone there, and there it is. A break back for the Italians. Giacomo Guzzi, the 17-year-old, playing fantastic coming out of Milan and giving something for the Italians to shout about. We're back on serve.
Yeah, the donkey diver dives for the disc and comes up with the goods. Very disciplined red zone stand there from the French. They would not let the Italians have it easy, but they were continually able to find those free options. You mentioned sometimes you have to go into the bag of tricks on a high stall. The scuba was indeed the option that was required. And that break now brings us back on serve. The Italians with the 3-2 lead.
And that was just hard work, a bit of a grind for the D-line offense from the Italian. You can see maybe more kind of classically defensive players struggling a little bit more with that end zone offense, but just kept churning, kept working, stayed focused. Took them a couple of goes to find someone free in the end zone, but they held their nerve.
Yeah, if there's one thing you can expect from these two sides, they are, you know, extremely well coached, and they will be disciplined. It's not like the juniors of old, where when you got within the red zone, it felt like the goal scoring attempt was coming within the first couple of passes. These sides are happy to work it out, just follow the textbook until they can inch their way in.
I'd like to say France are going downwind, but it's
not really any wind.
Yeah, not really any wind today. That one, ballooning backhand, I think that's not going to come back in.
I don't even know where it ended up.
Some say it's still flying over the skies of Slovakia. That might have gone out of the sports complex. Someone notify flight control in Bratislava, but we have a stray disc and a short field for the French.
Testing the wind, but I think you'll find that there isn't any.
Sharex picked up a bit of grass, and to survey the wind, as you said, Benji gets his first throw off to perfection. And some dump swing offense here, stretching the field. The Italians cover well. Bit of a discussion on the pick, but we're in again and able to recycle possession rather easily, the French, but can't find a shot for goal yet. And some good hander defense, but again, the mark came around and the French exploited. Brilliant stuff from them, and that is Fernandez with the goal.
Got to credit both sides, because we said on the last 2 points, even when the stall count ticks up, they don't necessarily feel the pressure. They continue to keep trying to look and find the option.
I really like that. Sometimes you see players, when it gets to all 6, you can see their gaze narrowing. They get a little bit scared. It was almost like they decided to throw it away already, but stay focused, use those seconds, and I like to see it as like a quarterback in American football. Start checking down, especially when your reset's cleared. Is there an option? Okay, and maybe you see something towards the break side. I think great awareness here. I think the mark came a little bit around and left that open. So you gotta take what you're given. And yeah, I think both sides have done this high in the stall count, try to apply more pressure, but then French and Italians capitalizing on what's been taken away and what's been given.
Yeah, it's good recognition there by the French players downfield, realizing that the mark is coming around, because you'll keep looking and trying to find that reset, and in doing so, you've left space for that cut to the break side.
And that might be the feedback. Just stay honest. Don't overbite. I know people want to get the big block or get the hand block, but sometimes you're giving the easy out.
Pulling, leaving a little to be desired from both sides here.
Yep. Some pretty bad pulling.
Yeah, sorry, let me rephrase that. A lot to be desired.
And fantastic scenes here in Trnava. Been really enjoying the week here. Fair play to everyone involved, EUF and all their sponsors and local organizers.
I think it's been a wonderful event. Trnava's a lovely host city, and yeah, they've put on a fantastic show for us so far.
PV hits Laffy, who was isolated in the middle. Some nice flowing offense from the Italians to make a pass halfway. Again, going with the force backhand there. You can see PV moves the mark, manipulates it a couple of times to give him the break side shot, and the French try and have very active force, but the Italians, you know, are so good at breaking the mark. You just have to be a little careful you don't bite too hard. Good force here, though. Forces the scuba on this occasion, but following the flow, and that is textbook Italian offense. Vandelli.
Even on the high stall, once they find the release valve, he doesn't watch. He throws and he goes so that he can instantly collect the bounce back and then apply the finish. If you can feed those handlers running through, they're catching it and they're seeing the play develop in front of them already. You mentioned in the NFL, like the quarterback, you know, they're seeing the routes. They've not got their back turned to the play, so they have to then have the couple of seconds to adjust. They can see already where it's going to be, and it means you can lead players into space so much more easily.
The quality of this junior semi-final, just so impressive, Benji. You really forget that you're at a youth competition. You just kind of expect the same coaching standards, playing ability that you see at the senior level, and it's just a testament to all the players on the field. You gotta love it.
Yeah, they're all teenagers, remember. And certainly at their age, I would not have been doing this. Partly because I didn't touch a disc until I was 18, and partly because I was a miscreant.
And on the far sideline, I can hear the Belgium drums beating. Belgium taking on Germany in that other semi-final happening simultaneously.
Yep, Germany currently have a 4-3 lead up a break.
I think Belgium would be the favourites to win that, but Germany an early lead.
Yeah, another bad pull that hits the scaffolding tower where our camera is positioned. And so we'll go out way up the field. Neither side has got their pulling sorted in this contest. And given that generally I think sides are pulled really well all week, a little surprised that this is the game where it all falls apart.
Sure-X. Good defense though here from the Italians to, I think they are maybe going for the sideline trap, but would like a bit of a better field position to start things off.
I mean, I think if you're going to go for the sideline trap, go for that roller pull to set it up.
And this is a zony look here from the Italians. I think this is their 2-3-2 that we've seen a lot of Italian teams play. France swinging quite well, but now finding the soft inners of that zone. Oh, and a quick give go. Pass goes astray. Italians have a chance to break now. Piludu.
Yeah, right into our sideline camera.
Boni has the sleeves rolled up and the mullet on display, and he's ready to go to work. Gussi.
Caught the previous break for the Italians.
Dangerous pass. Well collected. Mariani. And this D-line offense is built on hard work and grinding.
Contact on the mark. The mark does not agree, but they're just going to say, let's contest it and carry on.
There's been a couple of discussions on the mark. I see the foul call contested. Coming installed 6. Brilliant reset to retain possession. And this is a dangerous throw. Will it get there? Yes, it will. Magnificent. Again, supernatural from this Italian D-line. They started with a short field, but the zone disrupts the French. And Italy getting it done again.
A Renaissance masterpiece of a throw from Riccardo Piludu. I mean, honestly, beautiful. Just the right touch, the right shape, feathered in there. Could not have thrown it any better. I expect to see that hanging on the walls of the Uffizi shortly, because he absolutely nailed it. There is scarcely any room to find an option, but somehow the man with the 90s haircut, Marco Benedetti, had that little pocket, and it was delivered with aplomb.
Benedetti coming out of Trento. And it's good to see a mix of home cities here from the Italian side. It's not all Bologna. You obviously have Rimini, Padua, Milano, Trento in there as well. So, you know, often people think it's just Bologna, but there's a lot of great ultimate going across the whole country of Italy.
And I think you have to draw from those multiple different cities, the multiple different talent hubs. Otherwise, it just gets so homogenous, and actually your national team's basically just your club team. And I think you lose a lot from that. You don't get the shared knowledge base. It makes it difficult to level up the ultimate in the country as a whole, because it's only the same players getting that experience and then feeding that back into the community.
Yeah, it's so great if you go away and play with a national team and get to play under some great coaches, particularly in the Italian camp, and take that knowledge and bring it back to your home club. And I'm sure that's what all these players are doing. That a better pull, yes it is, arcing into the end zone, so perhaps a little easier going this direction. I think both sides have had very close forces throughout this game. Thinks about the buttery biscuit, and that one is on a platter. Catches it just inside the end zone. Brilliant play to answer back. Perez for France, and the clean hold.
Nothing Olivieri could do. The throw just sat down the break side, so the defender's always going to be out of position. And unless you've got someone maybe sagging onto that break side to help, or you're being in a very active orbit downfield, the way to stop this really is to stop it at source, because once it goes up, there's only ever going to be one result. The question would be whether Perez was able to jump it into the end zone. Evidently not a problem. The French with a clean hold, a good way to respond to that break. We thought it would be an entertaining, tightly matched contest here in the hot Slovakian sun. So far, it's proving to be exactly that, Liam.
Yeah, it's definitely very hot out there. I think it's supposed to get hit around 30 degrees Celsius today, and
woof.
We're not far off it right now.
Yeah, very important to stay hydrated and cool on the sidelines. All of the teams have been given misters, which they can spray on faces, on backs of necks, just to remove some of that sweat, just get the body temperature down. Lovely pull. That one is nailed towards the back of the Italian end zone. And they're trying to begin by just working it underneath. They've got a huge space if they can hit for a big yardage gainer, which they can with Laffy.
Italians doing well to work it out of their own end zone. Unshakable right now, looks incredibly composed in that terrifying position, PEV. Again, the mark's a little further away now from France. Again, sticking with his backhand force, pressure on Laffy, but pressure makes diamonds.
I'm enjoying this Caligaro versus Laffy matchup.
And the French throw themselves around like a big sack of spuds, but it's not going to stop the Italians as they cruise their way from the back of the end zone all the way up to the French one. Cavalletti looking good out there.
With the French, they've got to weigh up that risk-reward because they're bidding for, it feels like, everything at the moment. And, you know, there are times when if you don't bid, you're not going to get it. But you really need to make that calculated risk in your head, because if you bid and you come up empty, then you're out of position, and it allows the Italians to get some break side flow and movement and momentum going. And when they do, it's not impossible to stop. So you really have to pick your spots to perfection. Otherwise, it will be exploited, as the Italians did there.
And back-to-back clean holes. Both teams showing off their finesse on offense. There's been good defense as well, but good offense will beat good defense. Laffy feels like a cheat code in this youth division.
He's been exceptional, been very impressed with his performance.
I asked Coach Arturo Laffy who's better between him and his younger brother. He says, I'm better for now, but he said it won't be long.
Not for long. Honestly, that's a very humble response. A tinge of humility, at least.
I think he's better now. What are you on about? I think he meant by the end of the week, I think, is what he's suggesting.
Yeah, maybe in 5 minutes after he's finished warming up. I mean, Arturo, vastly experienced, and he's a wonderful figure to have on the sideline. A really mature leader.
Yeah, really lovely guy as well.
Yes. Enjoys a nice gorgonzola, as I found out at last year's WJUC. So clearly a man of taste.
The Italians pinning the French back now with this great zone, but there is the shot.
Someone's
Against
gone.
the yards.
Yeah, we're wise to holster.
Let's see what the French can do. composed yet again, but I think Italy happy with this so far. There's a shot to the middle. Dangerous throw. Letelier hangs on. But now a chance for Italy to get a commanding lead. If they were to punch this into this, would be massive, Benji. I imagine this game going point for point all along, but it's a big opportunity.
Just want to point out that, you know, the throw was into a dangerous area, but I think, Guzzi, you need to recognise that there's going to be contact if you go in that hard, and maybe just take your foot off a little bit there and recognise that maybe this isn't my opportunity to try and pounce.
Beniamino Bonni will keep the disc.
Yeah, big physical presence when they don't have the disc, and when they do, he will anchor the D-line offense.
And tees out a backhand. It's caught. Another break for Italy. Just too good right now.
Yeah, the one cut they can't defend, the devastating fake fall over. I'm just, of course, Oliviero, I think it was, who lost his footing. He's not the first athlete to have done that here on the lush turf in Trnava. But because he did, I think the French defenders look for opportunities to maybe be a bit more useful elsewhere. And Olivieri picked himself back up, and the thrower, Bonni, recognised it and just fed it into that space for the layout provided by the Italians for the 7-4 lead. The French choosing to use one of their timeouts here. This makes all the sense in the world to me, because the Italians, if you can't stop this momentum, they are just going to steamroll their way into the half. I mean, you look at the shape of the game, it was 3 apiece, and it's been a 4-1 Italian run since then. Elsewhere in the other semi-final, Belgium have earned back that break, and that is now on serve, with the Belgians leading 6-5. Of course, the two winners will play in the Open final tomorrow, lunchtime, 12:40 local time here in Slovakia, which is Central European summertime. For the losers, they'll have to dust themselves down for the bronze medal match to finish day 6 here at EYUC. That is at 6:10 this evening.
I was expecting this to be the closer of the two semis, and still a lot to play here, but Germany doing very well against Belgium, putting pressure on them. Questions being asked of this French team. They'll be disappointed they didn't get that block. They felt it was clean.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the French side haven't been tested, because, you know, they've played close pool games. Arguably, that was the tougher pool, where there were 4 good sides trying to get into the 3 positions, whereas the top 3 felt a lot more stratified in Pool A. But the Italians, they took that loss to the Belgians, but sometimes a loss is not necessarily a bad thing, because it allows you to maybe be a bit more honest and critical about where you can improve. And if results hold, then we'll get a rematch of that Universe Point pool play match in the final tomorrow. But there is still a lot of Ultimate left to play here, Liam.
Yeah, I think France haven't been tested like this so far in the tournament, so gonna have to rise to the occasion now. And you know, first thing to start off with, banging in this offensive point. You feel that's a must at this stage. I know it's early on in the game, but wouldn't want to go in 8-4 down at the half.
You would not. And if you do score here, firstly, you stop half being 8-4. And the second thing is you guarantee that 8-5 is, you know, the worst it can be. You then give yourself opportunities to try and get some of those breaks back before the interval.
Again, a zony look from the Italians. Quite passive at times, allowing France to reset, but really taking away the downfield options. The hammer's there, but can't really gain much yards from the big crossfield pass. Italy doing well to scamper now. Bouchard being extra safe here, the French. And I think at times even just swinging over and back is going to tire out the Italian zone. Bouchard again with Perez. He's playing the anchor handler now. Now they get some yards down the sideline. Gibert now playing offense. A shot again, Gibert unguarded. Nice little pop pass, getting involved to gain some yards down the sideline now. Gibert again, looking to go every other pass here. That's what I expected from the young man. And they tumble their way into the end zone. Brilliant stuff from Arthur Negle.
Pick is called. We'll wait to see whether it affected, but I like this possession from the French. Regardless of whether they get the disc in the end zone here, it's not just that it's been cleaned down the field so far, but it's that there's been a lot of conviction about what they're doing, and the timeout obviously gave them time to get some much needed clarity.
I'm not sure if that pick affected the play.
I agree. I would like to see this retracted. Personally, not that what we think matters. It's down to the players on field to come to a resolution. At least I saw the hand signal for the pick, but maybe it's a different call.
Not sure who was guarding Arthur Negle there.
Because, I mean, the Italians had a defender right there. Anyway, we're back in play.
Gibert goes round the house and stretched like a slinky, and enough time to turn around and admire the throw. Celebrating almost before he caught that one. The man from Paris had to do it twice. Arthur Negle gets it this time.
Yeah, Negle knew it was money from the moment it left the hand. Just utilising the simple feed to the break side, getting the throw out early with that edge to space. Big spike to finish. And I think they might need a replacement disc. So another entry to the Rahel Trnava retirement home for injured Euro discs. Or Ultra Stars, I guess.
Arthur Negle is the stat leader for this team. Came into this game with 14 assists and just 3 goals. I think this is just his 4th goal of the tournament. And they've kept him quiet so far, actually, Italy. But getting involved there.
And I get that, you know, these players are full of adrenaline. It's an important, tight game. But if they keep spiking these discs and they keep damaging them, we're going to run out.
You see it more in the youth level. It's actually rare enough you see it. I played the Masters tournament a few weeks ago. You do not see people edge spiking.
I mean, the thing is, I actually don't think that one was an edge spike. I just think there was so much momentum and force behind it that it still managed to warp it.
So big opportunity now for Italy to, I want to say, score downwind and take half. The wind is just kind of picking up and dying down. It's still very light.
I was going to say, I imagine at Masters, after people score, they don't really have enough energy left to spike or celebrate.
Plenty of energy on display here.
Certainly I wouldn't, anyway.
Teasing around swing. Beautiful touch on the throw. I think maybe a discussion about a push-off. And Gibert has stayed out there. There's a power line for France.
Yeah, Pare as well, who's a big leader for this side.
And he's grown since we saw him last year.
He wasn't
World
small,
Junior Championships.
but I think you're right. I think he has got, you know, even taller, even broader.
PV wants a cut to the break side. Eventually gets the reset to Vandelli. Nice elevator pass. Totti really wants to be catching it in the end zone. But PV coming on the under. Foul called. Gibert
disagrees. PV saying that he had it in his control and it was stripped out.
We'll have a look at that one again. We're getting the slow-mo look. Players surrounding the replay here. Not sure if we'll get it from this angle. Very hard to tell.
Can't really see that angle necessarily. We are being surrounded here on the sidelines. I don't think there's
don't think we're going to get any strong opinion from the video evidence anyway. I think the players on the field need to talk this one out. I can't see anything clearly. What's your thoughts, Benj? I initially thought it was a block in real time.
Yeah, they keep coming over to look at the replay.
And we're going frame by frame here.
No, I catch with my finger in the disc. You can how you can see that? How you can see it there?
I think we've got to a situation here where both sides have looked at the replay enough times and they do not agree. And at this point, just
And I don't know if the replays made things better or worse, Benji, to be honest with you.
PV's seen it and he thinks, oh, I definitely had it. And the French players have looked at it and said, I don't know. Now the two players involved are coming to look at it.
PV and Gilbert are coming now to have a look.
I'm real chill. I can defend you. But see, how? No, you don't have the disc. It's my hand.
Gilbert has his opinion, Pivy has his.
I mean, they can keep watching it many times over. I don't think either of them are changing their mind at this point. I appreciate that we've got the technology and you want to keep using it, but there's only so many times you can watch a replay.
I think that's a block. I'm going to give my opinion on it. And I think after watching it 30 times or so, I believe it's going to be a turnover. And I think VAR just won this round. It actually took the frame by frame to get a clear view, and I do think PV got his hand to it. I just don't think those fingers had grasped the disc. And it's a terrifying aspect to try and give an opinion in this situation. We were surrounded, Benji, by both Italian and French players, and we feel a bit underqualified at times to give the opinion. We don't want to influence the game. We're only here to do commentary, but
I mean, I'm with you. I think it was clean. However, I would like the players to come to that resolution themselves rather than hearing me talk about it.
Yeah, see, I'm fine giving my opinion, except when they're standing right beside me, particularly the two players involved.
Especially when there were, 5 players from each side, plus there is the scope in the rules to use technology, providing it does not unduly delay the game, and that was quite a lengthy stoppage. And you also need to have, I think, just one player from each side. As it was, I appreciate everyone wants to have a look and get involved, but maybe just have a spirit captain from each side come over, talk about it, and then communicate it. That throw's airmailed.
And a pack of players underneath, not in the end zone yet. That was a sky ball and a block on the goal line. And a timeout called by PV. He wants to calm down.
Good timeout call. I do not usually like the in-play timeout, but everything was getting very heated and very fractured. France seemed to forget that actually you don't have to score right at the front of the end zone. They just kept trying to feed and force their way over the precipice. But one option too many, and the block comes flying through, and this is very smart because evidently I think both sides would benefit from having a little bit of a break, Liam.
That was a wild point there, and look, it was a long discussion about that, but I do think there was still meaningful discussion. I think
it was the right result, but I think the way in which it was achieved could have been made so much cleaner and clearer.
Yes, but you understand this is a semi-final. It's heated. There's young players, and I still thought it was adding to the drama. Obviously, we'd love play to be going. Again, still from the monitor I'm looking at, it gets a little bit hazy at times there, but I do think.
And I'm sure it feels
clean play.
Sure, it feels to PV that he feels like he has it in his fingers. But I think the key thing is he's got a decent grip, but I don't think he really has control, in my opinion. And you can see that it's only the disc that Gilbert gets contact with.
Yeah, fantastic.
And that was
from Gilbert.
The debate was not about whether there was contact, I think, on the bid. It was just about whether control had been established. In the other semi-final, by the way, Germany earned that break back, and they held on Galaxy Point. So 8-7, the Germans lead Belgium at half. So an upset brewing in the other semi-final, Liam.
Wow. Wow. As I said, I suspected both these teams to be in the final. Wasn't necessarily expecting Germany, but don't rule them out. And PV couldn't get control of that pass. It was a turnover, but he has control of the game right now. He has possession yet again. And France really pumped up on that deep point, a power line, and just rushed it a bit. Gibert got the block and then ballooned one into the sky that they were lucky to come down with. That was the hard part. Bardon, number 7, skying the pack, but just rushing it a little bit. I like that energy and defense, but they needed to take a breath.
Honestly, that sequence after the sky ball reminded me of the French national final in the Open Division in 2022. Isno versus Ishak, who else? And for the last 5 points of the game, both sides forgot that you could score. You know, there's a whole end zone you could score in, and you didn't have to grind your player into the front cone to get it. Very strange ends to a wonderful game. And I think sometimes, yeah, maybe just not necessarily the emotion potentially, but just the riding the sensations rather than just being able to remove yourself and look at things a little bit more holistically.
Let's see what Italy's set up now. And everyone's just taking a breather there at the timeout as the atmosphere was 90 there a few minutes ago. But a horizontal stack from the Italians. France with this power line to try and break here before the half ends. PV going toe-to-toe with Gibert. That is an exciting matchup. Kind of standing off the mark a little bit, Gibert. And again, Laffy like a piston, grinding out those unders. And a brilliant continuation to Andrea, who gets a nice inside shot. Well gathered. Back with PV. Going coast to coast now. Panicali, back to PV. Wants to give the leading pass, and that is on a lot of times. This one very floaty, but commanding the skies. Vandelli. Laffy, you feel like he's gonna put his paw prints all over this point. Now teasing one out to Laffy, but an incredible interception. Like a thief in the night on this very sunny day, and this is an incredibly exciting point, Benj.
If you're going from one sideline to the other through the center of the field, that is where you are going to come a cropper. You need to have the overhead there. The hammer's tricky because it would be leading away. The scoop would have the wrong shape. I know I say this a lot. I actually think a thumber would have been perfect there, but that's never coming out in that situation, and I recognize that.
Letallure. Back to Gibert. France looking a little calmer now in this possession. Can they bang in a break? They started off. Gibert rifles one. Fantastic sit on that one. Punches it in, and with that power line, France get the break. Gibert launched the big frosty flick. I'm not sure Paré was actually cutting deep, but it was thrown with such zip. And then a lot of sit on it, just really forgiving throw, allow the Frenchman to run onto it, and that is a massive break for France.
It is huge. And the reason that Erwan Paré, the French-Chinese athlete, is able to get on the end of it is because it's thrown with touch and finesse, and it gives him time to adjust. There was the potential maybe, does he want to milk it all the way into the end zone, and decides that he doesn't need to be quite so greedy. He can afford just to, with support, catch it on the end zone line and then throw the scoring pass himself. The last thing you want is to try and, you know, keep hanging on all the way into the end zone and then find that actually all of a sudden there's a defender who's coming in to interrupt things. After that big block from Gibert, Italy were able to get the disc back as they looked to force it in at the front cone. The Italians wisely took the timeout. But they worked it down the field nicely until they looked to stretch it from one side of the field to the other. certainly you could feel the French defense sense something. Here is the turnover, looking across field, trying to find Alberto Laffi, but Cavaletti's pass is picked off, and then the roaster deep from Gibert. Pare has position, and he resets, and a simple dish into the end zone for the score, 7-6. And France now feel like they've got a head of steam. Can they get a break to bring us to Galaxy Point?
Gaspard Caligaro getting the crucial interception for France, and they're sending out a lot of the same players. Pare, Gibert, Gaspard. This is the big guns for France. Laffi out there again for Italy, but they have changed a few players. Vandelli was always going to be out there. Laffi not happy with his looking.
Yeah, Boney had cleared out, but he wasn't actually looking back, and actually, if he was, he could have collected a little feed through.
Vandelli. Boney. Wants to get off the sideline. Not a lot of easy options there. Eventually, there is an easy option. Not sure what was going on. Confusion as Peavy gets easy reset. Teases one out. This one is going to be far. Can he get there? They're calling it up. A magnificent catch from Vandelli. Gets horizontal. And now there's going to be discussion again. They're looking at our camera one in the corner. We'll get a better look at it now, Benj. That's up to me.
That looks very up to me.
And they're asking the camera operator, but
I think that's fine.
yeah, that's up. They're not coming to the monitor. I'm happy to give my opinion on that occasion. It's definitely up. You can completely understand the French asking questions. It was quite low to the ground, even from where it was initially thrown, but going full extension, go, gadget arms, and reaching that one, Vandelli. And good spirit there.
Yeah,
from France.
Scooped it with the left hand, and you can see that as he gets control, and then that far edge where his right hand would be hits the ground, but I think he does have control of it by that point. And the French coach, I think, had a little look and signaled the goal as well. I've been really impressed with the play of Giacomo Vandelli. Wasn't a player I was massively familiar with coming into the weekend, but I think he's been mighty impressive in this 8-6 first half lead for the Italians.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break here, folks. As players grab a breather, so will we, but stay tuned for some fantastic second half action coming up in just a moment's time.
From a workshop in Bordeaux to Ultimate Fields worldwide, Force Ultimate creates custom gear with care. Locally made, low impact, built to perform. No outsourcing, no shortcuts, every piece crafted in-house by skilled artisans. Built to withstand every dive and sprint, this gear is as tough as your game. Your sport, your team, your Force. Why choose Force? Exceptional quality, eco-friendly production, and every kit is designed with your team's identity in mind. Force Ultimate, built to perform, made to last. Gear up now at Force.
Welcome back here to European Youth Ultimate Championships. We have a look at France here on their road. They have been undefeated so far in the tournament, France, but there have been questions asked of them here. Some good spirit overall in the tournament as well.
Yeah, being pushed like they never have before this week by the Italians, and these two sides always seem to have these tense barnstorming matches against one another. By topping Pool B with that unblemished record, they got the bye through the quarters straight into the semi-finals, where of course they have met the Italians in a game that I think has delivered on all of the promise. For the Italians, not such a straightforward path.
Yeah, the loss to Belgium has put them in a situation that a really exciting game, and sometimes it's good to get a test early on in the tournament and helps you recalibrate, and that's essentially what's happening with France now. They got a real test in that first half, and let's see what they're made of.
Yeah, they had to play the quarterfinal against Czechia, which they emerged with a 15-11 victory. The other semi-final, Belgium versus Germany. Germany had a one-break lead going into the half, up 8-7. Belgium broke on the first point of the second half, and they've traded to 9 apiece. But as it is, because they had that little extra advantage going into the half, Belgium will need to find another break, or at least one break more than the Germans, if they are to emerge victorious and take their place in the final at 12:40 tomorrow. The loser will have to make do with the bronze medal match at 6:10 this evening.
Just saw Vandelli actually go up and shake hands with Gilbert. And just, you know, it's been hotly contested, but I think Spirit has been good overall in this game.
Yeah, obviously the most contentious issue was that potential layout block from Gilbert where PV thought he had it. I think they came to the right resolution. I think the process by which they got there was certainly flawed. You don't need 10 players from each side coming to have a look at it and then all offer a slightly different opinion. They just pick 2 players to have a look, talk about it through themselves, and once they've come to a decision together, communicate that to the players on field.
So the second half action underway. France down 2 points. This is a better pull from Italy. But they have possession now of the French team. Let's see what they can do with it. Now with Pichard. That is, of course, Noah Pichard again. Negative. Going back through the Menacee. Gilbert has recognized a hole in his defense. Wants to hang close to the sideline, and every time it's swung back and forth, get some yards and make some nice yards down the sideline now. Perez in the middle. That is a low throw, but well gathered up by Pichard, and now
I think someone maybe was asking the question about whether it was up, but the players closest to it never seemed in any doubt.
Negative. Looking to work with Perez, who finds a hole in that middle of the zone. And this kind of 2-3-2 zone, very hard to run, but the Italians doing a good job of it, as are the French playing against it. And now, again, low throws from the French. Now across the Letelier. Gilbert again popping up to make some yardage, and not sure if Italy are going to transition now, but it does look like they're remaining in some kind of zoney setup. You often see teams transition at this point, but happy just to try and slow the French down with the zoney look. And we're hearing some Italian horns on the sideline.
Yeah, the sideline's just trying to create that little bit of theatre and presence to sow those potential seeds of doubt.
Well, there's definitely some Italian defenders lurking in the backfield. Not really shooting too far here, the French.
Happy at the moment, the French, just to, again, keep working it. The Italians won't mind. They know if they can keep the pass count ticking high, sometimes an unforced error presents itself.
Italians holding the line well so far. Nice give-go action from France. It's the closest they've been. Can they punch it in? Negre going back now. Perez. They've gone from side to side, over and back like a seesaw, but eventually they do punch it in. It is Negre who puts the finishing touches on that long, slow possession from France, but never really looked like in any trouble.
Metronomic from the French, they just ticked back and forth and sideline to sideline and always in the right rhythm, and eventually they get to the end zone. I had to do it with my hand to make sure I was kind of keeping it in time, and even then I'm not sure I did it properly, which just shows quite how hard it is to have that constant pattern, the iambic pentameter almost. Always stressing the right syllables. And a little pop into the end zone in the end for the kick spike for Arthur Negre, who, as you mentioned, has been a leading light amongst a deep French roster.
We already have one French team in the finals. The mixed side punched their ticket. Pressure mounting on both sides as the clock keeps ticking away here. Over an hour gone in this game. Liam Grant alongside Benji Reese for this thriller of a semi-final in the open division.
With all due respect to the first 5 days, this is the sort of game you come to the tournament for. Bracket play, and you can tell exactly what it means because it's writ large on the face of every single athlete.
And again, a strong line here from France. Palais, Gibert, Mandano. But the exceptionally strong O-line of Italy out there. Peavy, who walks up the line like he has a 6-shooter in his pocket and ready to fire. A bit of a side stack here from the Italians, looking to isolate Laffy, and if they can isolate Laffy, nobody can defend him, I think, in this division. Brilliant inside pass, almost bobbled, but well held on to. Nice inside backhand, something the Italian offense is built on. Totti wants to reset it. Some face guarding again, and just Pivi uses that in his favor, and so good at it, lasering low backhands, and it's been called down, and you can see pointing back to where the thrower, suggesting it was down almost at the moment of release.
There's a French player on the sideline who seems convinced it was down.
It's calling it down right there. It was a little bit of an air bounce.
I think it's just air bounce, though. I don't think it touches the floor. Let's look at it again.
I don't think that's down.
I think that's fine. They're just going to contest it, though, and send it back. Doesn't want to have another protracted discussion.
This one definitely up as it goes to Vandelli. Again, attacking the break side. Foul called on the mark from the French.
Yeah, Vandelli, of course, is entitled to space, but that doesn't mean that he's entitled to push the defender away.
It was a tight force. A little nitpicky here now, both teams. And now a fiery forehand breaks the mark straight away, catches him on the hop. Laffy says, thank you very much, and a beautiful clean hold from the Italians to answer back.
Vandelli turns to his backfield teammate. Are you not entertained? A wonderful flick, really fizzed towards the break side into the ever agreeable hands of Alberto Laffy, who is, as you mentioned, nigh on unguardable at points. If they can get him isolated in space, one-on-one, he is such a tough cover, and the French need to find ways of maybe rolling a little bit of help his way. The problem is that the Italians are so deep that in doing that, you've got someone else who can step up and make the plays required. But yeah, you cannot afford to have someone on an island, I think, against Laffy.
I did like that side stack pull play from the Italians and putting Laffy in that isolated space.
They do run those isolations well. And the other semi-final, the Belgians did take the lead with a break, but the Germans have got it back, so Germany's still edging in front 11-10.
Slightly more of a cushion in this game as the Italians up 9-7. It's going to take 2 breaks from the French to get back into this one, and they're on offense now. Time ticking away, still plenty of time to mount a comeback, but it is ticking away, and they are getting closer to 15. The way these two teams are scoring now in the second half.
A little over 10 minutes left. Sorry, a little over 20 minutes left until that cap comes on. I know how to do maths. Shout outs to the volunteers on the sidelines who are keeping track of the scores and the time limits. And if you get on the live website as well, you see all those goals and assists being live updated. And that's thanks to the wonderful work of the volunteers here in Trnava.
And a big old buttery biscuit from the French. And that was just too good from the French side. And that's a great way to score quickly. That's exactly what the Italians didn't want. I think that was Tristan Wu, was it? Chasing it down.
Yeah, and this was so easy for Wu. What I love as well is that the calm walk downfield from the thrower. Not a big deal. It was fine, I guess.
The French catapult unleashed to Wu. And you can see he is pumped up for this game, and scoring quickly like that, France, on offense gives them a chance to cross over players. I think Italy will be disappointed that they couldn't keep them out there longer. Famed Italian coach Davide Mori usually times his defensive points. And, you know, he acknowledges if you can't, you know, get the block or get the break, if you can keep an O-line out there for a long time, there's, you know, there's some joy in that.
San Francisco Furies Davide Mori, as of US Open apparently. Didn't see that one coming. What a throw, by the way, from Rafael Cherek. He has an absolute cannon, and he was so nonchalant about it as well, which just makes the whole thing cooler.
Yeah, Cherek's been forced backhand. He says, thank you very much. I will take that throw on. And this time the blading backhand pull from Paret. He's playing a lot of defense in this game. Bit of a zony look from France. I think that's a stop the pull play to Laffy.
Good, I like it. That one is definitely grasped.
And it seemed like a good shot to Laffy, but short field now. Gibert, wastes no time, picks it up. Not a lot of options downfield. Teases one. That is an ambitious throw. Will it work? It's touched. It's caught on the second time. Second bite of the cherry. Incredible scenes here as France get a break.
You got to catch your Ds, because if you don't, that will happen. France, not for the first time in this game. Both sides, in fact, have had their moments where it's required the second attempt. It was popped up high into the air, looking to lead Erwan Paret into space. I think it was Paret, actually, who got the hand on it initially. He couldn't gather, but it didn't matter. Thomas Pinheiro with the score for the French. They break, and we are level. We're back on serve at 9 apiece. You cannot fit a piece of paper between these two sides.
And Italy were 2 points up moments ago, but how quickly the script changes. We're tied up again. Italy with an advantage, though, of being on offense. But that a massive moment for France. And Gibert has been a little bit spicy. Might have a look at the scoreboard here.
Yeah, those are the stat leaders, and you're seeing actually there are no Italian or French players on there, and you think, well, that's weird. They're two of the best teams. Why would they not have? Surely they would have some players right at the top, but they don't, because it's a very equitable team where they do have players from up and down the roster who are able to contribute, rather than having someone who's really having to bear the bulk of the load. And I think it just shows the depth that both sides have. Anyone at any moment can be called upon to make the play.
Nice pull and chase from France. And the French women's team getting loud here on the sideline. Dangerous throw, cross field, but Italians hold on to it, living on the edge here. But they've been fearless in these positions earlier on in the game. Cavalletti, a blade to slice open the French zone. Back now, Cavalletti. Good give-go, popping motions to make some yards here and there, but again, I think French going with the zone to try and stop the isolations. That speculative hammer, it's going to be on the money though. A little bit of a travel there, but it's not going to be called.
Yeah,
I think it's the right situation.
He did not come back in at the place where he left the field, but didn't really have that much of an impact.
No, it didn't affect the play, so I'm glad play continues, but that was a ambitious hammer, well executed. I think that's what the French side are trying to force the Italians to do, and again, French quite close to the mark, and the Italians respond by kind of pushing them off, and they're going to call the foul straight away.
It's not the first time Vandelli's been called for that, actually.
Giacomo Vandelli. I think maybe that's just something they're accustomed to, of if someone's close in the force, they kind of push away, and maybe that's okay in his ultimate community, but France not happy with Laffy now. Having a great battle with Paré. Trying to move the mark, getting high in the stall count now. Gets the release from Olivieri.
Yeah, here they've crossed over to the O-line. Normally a defensive standout for them.
Brilliant cross-field forehand to open things up. Peavy keeps momentum going. Olivieri puts one out into a dangerous space. That was not the intended receiver. Excitement and tension building in this game. Laffy thought he'd punch that one in, but just shy the end zone yet again. And there it is. Brilliant from PV, and they celebrate again, slamming that disc on the ground. There was a few scary moments there from the Italians, but they hang on and get the clean hold.
Yeah, you couldn't eat your dinner off it, but it's clean enough. I really love that roguish inside backhand from Laffy. How he creates that throwing angle is incredible. And after what have been sometimes a harem-scarum possession, after some wonderful throws and tense moments, in the end the scoring pass is slightly anticlimactic, but Italy won't care. The scoreboard shows no pictures. It just shows that they're back in the lead by 1. And they need another replacement disc. Damn. I wonder why they keep needing these replacements, Liam.
Because it keeps spiking it a lot, actually, I think, Benji. That might be the reason.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is because they keep damaging it. It'd be interesting if teams had to pay for the discs that needed replacing. Do you think they'd spike it as much?
Probably not the juniors, anyway. The Americans, probably. They can afford it. As a tournament director, I dislike the gratuitous spiking of discs. You obviously get radioed in a couple of times. I think this might happen now where the volunteers might radio in to HQ saying they need more discs. I think we've gone through 3. I don't think they're looking to untackle this one. Valiant effort from the volunteers. We might need to reuse one of those taco discs the way things are going.
I mean, it is Taco Tuesday after all.
It's definitely semi-final Friday here in Slovakia. Getting into the business end now of this semi-final.
Good pull.
France had that one pass punch in their last possession. I think Italy will be doing a little bit more to slow them down this time. But they grind the under. Back now at Negre. Hardly put a foot wrong. Pichard. I tell you, all the standouts here. Fakes the backhand, Negre. Goes for the easier swing. Nice return pass, keep momentum building. Perez in power position. And again, a teasing pass from the Italians, and a very aggressive force there. A bump on the mark. And staying focused here, the French. Letellieu. And again, the Italians, as they try to ramp up the pressure, have been impeding on the mark, have been a little tight at times.
Yeah, he's well within his rights to call the foul on the contact, but he also has the option to call the contact instead and drop the stall to 0, which I think probably would maybe be better in the situation because it means their offense hasn't had to go static.
Negre gets it to Wu. Some nice quick motion, and that is brilliant from the French. That's what they needed to do on that occasion. The Italians looking a bit frustrated, but another clean hole, Benji. Just these teams so good. You got to really feel for whatever team doesn't make it to the final, because they've both shown how good they are here in this semi.
Yeah, it's been a high quality matchup, but you know, while it could have been a final, you know, Belgium earned the right for the semi-final by winning the pool, by that Universe point win over Italy, and they had to beat GB on Universe as well, the Belgians, to make sure that they topped the pool. If GB had come out on top there, then it would have been the Italians getting the bye, and they would be facing Germany in the semi-final, and we'd have Belgium versus France. But you know, Italy, they did drop that pool game. GB couldn't do them the favour they needed, and as a result, you've got perhaps the two favourites meeting in the semi-final. You make your own destiny.
Who is writing the script for this game now? And there can only be one fairy tale team making it to the final. France again having to lean on some of their star players to play a lot of points and try and get a break here to put them in the lead. And here the Italians go again. Pivi has had a lot to do in this game. The zone again, he's been fearless, unleashing that hammer. Play continues. I think some of the French sidelines suggesting he might have put his foot in the line there. And
yeah, I think Cavalletti was dangerously close to straddling that line. He might just have got away with it.
Yeah, that was definitely...
It was close. It was closer than it needed to be, certainly. With a bit more awareness, you don't even raise the question.
Again, going high to beat this zone. Not something you see too often from the Italians, but French trying to put a lot of pressure around the disc, so leaving these scuba options completely open. Laffy, a great receiver to have her, and you see the shouts for a match defense transition. Laffy's come right behind the disc, and this is an elevator backhand that's going to work out perfectly for the Italians. Can't go through it, can't go around it, have to go over it on this occasion, and they did that several times in this possession.
Yeah, in the still conditions, the overhead is a very viable option. We've seen hammers, scubas, all sorts there. And the elevator backhand was sumptuous for the score, just lofting it over the head of the defender and dropping it into the bucket. Lovely throw from Bonifazi. And Vandelli once more involved as he catches the score. It's the Italians' edge in front again.
Look at the scoreboard here.
Any players on that list that you've been particularly impressed by?
I thought Zlusty was a real standout, and he was really upset not to make it to the semi-finals. Somehow ended up in a situation playing Italy, and they were a little upset they ended up in that particular crossover quarter-final. But yeah, I think Zlusty and Zaluski showing that the Czechs are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, the two Shade brothers as well, stuffing the stat sheet for the Romanians. They look for each other early and they look for each other often. And as you've seen, a lot of the time, that's a very viable strategy.
So advantage to the Italians. They're in the lead by 1. Any update in that other semi?
Yeah, Germany still with their noses in front, 13-12. The Germans, you know, having finished the pool with a 4-2 record, making the top 3 on the 3-way tie, finishing second in the pool. They're only 2 points away from a surprising place in the finals.
Yeah, pretty incredible. If they'd been on the other end of the 3-way tie, they would have been out. That was the difference between Germany and Switzerland on that occasion. Foul called. Not exactly sure what happened there, but don't think it really affected.
I mean, you do have to credit the Germans for they've improved as the week went on. Yes, they had that disappointing loss to Switzerland early on, but they were able to Czechia early on, excuse me. But they've been able to get better as the week went on, and now they find themselves on the cusp of a final. Unless Belgium, excuse me, can find a way to flip that script.
An aggressive bid from the Italians, but French unfazed. Negre to Perez, and again, using the width. Taking the yards on the swing when they can.
Perez is on the floor.
You can see the Italians raising the temperature, trying to be a little more aggressive, causing some contact here. And there's a nice pop pass to the middle to gain some momentum. Wu close to the sideline. And again, the combination of Negre and Perez are keen to swing here. And looks like they're transitioning to a match defense again. I think that's the Italians of, hey, let's slow them down. Came out of that zone and just not letting the French score quickly. Want to tire out their O-line, and there is a miscue. And the Italians rush to pick it up and launch it straight away. An enchanted throw and a break for the Italians. Almost fumbled, but held on to. Magnificent stuff. Giacomo Gussi getting it done. The French caught napping, were frustrated with the throw, but the Italians waste no time. Sensational from Boni, just ran over, grabbed the bull by the horns, and showing off his rocket launcher of a backhand here, Benji.
What a throw, because he did not have a lot of time to think about it. He picked it up and he ripped it, and he could not have delivered it any more perfectly, like the waiter removing the cloche to reveal the delightful treat underneath, straight into the hands of Guzzi. There was not a lot of room there. You could tell the French offense was getting bogged down, and the throw maybe could have been executed, but it was a window that was tighter than it needed to be, and it came out strangely from the hand, went straight into the floor, and the Italians, with an absolute dagger, a break, puts them up 2.
And that was brave from Boni. He really ran over to it, no mark on him. Haven't seen him unleash that backhand all tournament long, and
what a time to find your moment to unleash it.
Yeah, and just thrown with perfection, a lot of float, a lot of spin, made it very catchable. I think France is caught in the hop there. We're focusing on their own turnover, and just 5 minutes left now for France to battle their way back into this game. Coming out now in the horizontal stack, and again this 2-3-2 zone from the Italians. Better from the French to work it between the handlers to try and get some yards. Can often be 3-on-2 up there in the handler space. Need to attack the middle in the upline. There's an easy pass there if he can break the mark, and he does. X getting involved now here.
He's got a slightly awkward wind-up with that flick. It's quite sling.
But again, the Italians just trying to slow the French down. Try and use the clock to their advantage now. And he's going to take on the deep shot. This, a spicy number, but put on a platter bench. That's great from France, able to score quickly on that occasion.
The deep game is a very live threat for both these sides, as we've seen on the last couple of points. They can slice and dice you underneath, but they're also not adverse to a bit of old school hack and slash, and sometimes they can beat you with big chunk plays like this one. Just the turn, set, and shoot. See the receiver screaming for it. Feels like he's got a little bit of space, but it's led out so he can catch it in stride rather than that sky battle, a slightly zippier deep shot that works a treat. France now need to find a way to earn that break back and tack another one on. And speaking of tacking another one on, the Germans have broken again. 14-12, they lead Belgium now. Undefeated through the pool play phase, and they'll have to score 3 on the spin if they want to take the final place that, I must admit, going into the bracket seemed like it was theirs to lose.
Fantastic scenes here in Slovakia. Both semi-finals going down to the wire. France are going to have to break and break soon if they want to win this one. Let's see what they can muster up here. With the pull, again going for that blading backhand. Peavy looking downfield for quite some time, but a lot of sagging from the handler space. Oh, and ending up in a French sandwich there as two French defenders come in and cause a bit of contact.
Yeah, Van Delly's in the middle of the croque monsieur.
Don't think that's where he wanted to be. Most importantly, holding on to the disc, and I think Van Delly might be taking an injury sub here just to settle himself.
Well, you might be able to tell this from the far sideline in the back of your picture, but Germany break again, and a 15-12 win means that it will be Germany awaiting the winner in the final tomorrow. Belgium in the bronze medal match, the task for the loser of this contest.
Peavy. Laffy back in the handler space now. That's not where you expect him to be. And playing with almost 4 handlers now as Laffy slowly works his way downfield. Not a lot of options coming downfield from the Italians. Happy to dump and swing, and I think that's not a bad idea for them. France, can they rise to the occasion? Sugar-coated scuba over the top. Peavy, and now we're the call for man match defense. I think that's a better way to go about this from France. Want to put pressure on every throw and not allow Italy to play the clock. That a dangerous pass again. Well collected. That's better from the French. Gibert takes on the Laffy matchup. A nice lefty to Peavy. Laffy has a couple of throws in his locker, and he gets it back from Peavy. 1-on-1 in the end zone. Laffy wants to throw it. Thinks twice about it. Back to Peavy, and this some quick give-go motion. Not a massive score now for the Italians. They are in the driver's seat.
And none of those throws were massively open, all into tight windows, but they were able to stick those tough catches under pressure and grind their way down to the end zone, re-establish that 2-point lead firmly in the driver's seat. Will we have the situation where the two pool winners, both undefeated in the initial stage, getting the rest, getting the bye into the semi-finals, they come unstuck? I think time went just after that goal was scored, according to the official stats. Finish the point, and we'll add cap +1, so it'll be 14-11 game to 15, or 13-12 game to 14. The official timing of that score, 89:55. So 5 seconds before that cap whistle blew.
And I'd love to have as many points of this game as we can get, Benji. It's blockbuster the whole time.
I wouldn't mind if Italy broke here and then France could put in 3 on the spin to take us to Universe. I wouldn't hate it.
I would have bet on a Universe point game, but that's going to require some breaks here from France. First thing they got to do is, I don't have to score this over point, but definitely be a good idea to score it.
It'd be advisable, certainly, because then you're in a situation where you need 2 to win rather than needing 4 to win. But you're still going to have to get the breaks rolling if you want to win. You cannot really afford to let Italy score.
Offside being called, signaled by Gibert, but not sure his other handler mates realized.
Gibert's cap has come off, he means business.
Getting high in the stall count now, having to throw 30 yards backwards towards his own end zone. That's not what he wanted to do, but more importantly, keeps possession, and
good job he was able to get a lot of touch on it, otherwise it would have raced away for the turn. They're so disconnected. Where's the support?
Letelier gets involved now to settle things and just make sure there's an easy option nearby. Nice little push past the Perez. Foul called. Little bump of the mark, and I usually prefer the contact call, but maybe not a bad for France to settle themselves and take a breather. Gibert now, as you said, has the cap off. And this is a very energetic discussion here going on. Pilidu discussing with Gibert. Back now to Negret, who finds a seam to swing across Perez. Bouchard very close to the sideline. Now we hear some loud calls from the Italian sideline. Looks they have transition to match. This a dangerous crossfield swing, but well executed. Bouchard wants the inside pass, goes for the elevator backhand and wants it back. Bouchard taking over here. Perez surveys the field. Picks out the right option again. Gaston going back now. And France have been happy to retreat at times in order to maintain possession. And Chirex is showing he has that high caliber throw. They fake the upside down pass. Again, teasing one into midfield. Perez. This game on a knife's edge right now. The Italians bumping on the mark, hasn't been the first time. Again, playing very safe, very composed here. The French faking the overheads, but taking the more simple option. Again, coast to coast, Bouchard. He's been hanging out in this near sideline and getting yards when he can. Perez. The Italians being a bit more aggressive now when he gets closer to the end zone.
The 3-meter line on this near side seems to have mysteriously disappeared.
Yeah, both sidelines encroaching as things heat up here. Knocking on the doorstep now. There is an easy goal in the end. Letelier, Onslaught, Letelier does it. for France. I said it was easy. It was not easy, Benj, but it was composed, and it was brilliant from the French offense. It is now game point to Italy, game to 14. France are going to have to break twice if they want to win this one.
Yeah, the Italian arm will have 2 shots to hold. This was key for me, just threatened that he was going to go for the reset straight behind, and Marco Cazzani was sold all the way down the river, put in a very speculative bid, and that meant that there was one less player to apply pressure, and they could suddenly begin to pick up a bit of a head of steam towards that end zone. Looks like we've got a timeout called here.
Not sure who called timeout. I believe it was France, which makes sense. They had their O-line out there, had a long point. You imagine they're going to cross over a couple of those players.
You have to
give them a rest.
You have to. Just going to have a double check, see how many timeouts each team has left. I think that's the first timeout we've seen in the second half.
It's been really a fantastic game so far. Italy being slightly the better side, but
there's not much in it. There is so little in it.
Both teams playing like deserved finalists. Let's look back at some of the highlights of this semi-final.
Yeah, teams beginning to arrive for the bronze medal matches that start next, by the way. Going into the women's division first, Belgium against Czechia is the first bronze medal match, but all eyes on the present at the moment. One of these sides is going to have to pick themselves back up for the toughest of games, the bronze medal match this afternoon. For the others, they can get rested and recuperated and rejuvenated for the final tomorrow. These two sides both qualified for the women's final, or these two nations, I should say, at least. France knocked off Italy on Universe in the previous semi-final, that in the mixed division as well. So French, they need to find 2 breaks to keep their hopes of a clean sweep alive. For Italy, potentially a measure of revenge here. They're going to have 2 shots at the hold that'll give them a silver medal at worst.
Game point, Italia. The lads in blue will have possession to win it here. France send out their stallions to chase down this pull. And Erwin Pare is taking off his visor, and they're going to fight till the bitter end. Here we go, Benji. Italia. Allow that one to roll easily. Peavy. Looks like a match defense just from the French, and teasing one out to space. 2 Italian men there. Olivieri crossing over in this vital point. They want to end it here and now. Peavy showing off his worth, and his beautiful backhand has been such a weapon all game long. Laffy high in the stock count. Olivieri.
First time I think we've seen Boni cross over as well.
Nice inside pass. They're so good at that. Boni's been a real talisman, looking like a push-off foul called. Boni will keep possession. And a few fouls creeping into this one. You see both teams, their energy is high, the adrenaline is flowing through their veins. Getting high in the stock out for Boni. Again, they set up that pop pass to gain yards and beat the face guarding from the French. Mandelli to Laffy. Can he punch it in? This one goes cross field, and that is it. The Italians book their ticket from the final, and it's been fantastic from them all game long. Hats off to Giacomo Vandelli, deserved scorer of the finale point. They celebrate in style. Heartbreak for the French Open team. We're undefeated going into the semi-final, but it will be Italy versus Germany in the Open Division final.
Hats off, shirts off for the Azzurri. Arturo Laffi will be a very happy coach with his younger brother Alberto. Shy of the end zone, comes up with a little bit of magic just to lead the ever-impressive Vandelli into space, and you see there what it means to both sides. The jubilation for Italy, the heartbreak for the French. That'll be a tough bronze medal match to pick themselves up for against Belgium at 6:10 this evening. But for Italy, they know the task ahead of them. Germany awaits in the final tomorrow. Neither side topped the pool and got the bye through to semis. Maybe the idea of rest versus rust. Actually, the Italians perhaps able to step up their game in the tight moments a little more than their opponents were.
Congratulations to Italy. They'll be in the final tomorrow. Coming up later on, we will have France versus Belgium in that open semi. But now we have, bronze medal game. Now we have the women's bronze medal game coming up. So we're going to leave it there, folks. Stay tuned and be sure to watch Belgium versus Czechia in the women's division bronze. For Benji Reese, I've been Liam Grant, and we will catch you later.
From a workshop in Bordeaux to Ultimate Fields worldwide, Force Ultimate creates custom gear with care. Locally made, low impact, built to perform. No outsourcing, no shortcuts, every piece crafted in-house by skilled artisans. Built to withstand every dive and sprint, this gear is as tough as your game. Your sport, your team, your Force. Why choose Force? Exceptional quality, eco-friendly production, and every kit is designed with your team's identity in mind. Force Ultimate, built to perform, made to last. Gear up now at forceultimate.com.